Unmute me. There we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 515 Sports Podcast. Myself, Brock Beirman. Man, just what better day of the year, what better weeks of the year than what we have had this week and the week upcoming next week? It's March, and we're about 3 minutes out till Selection Sunday. The bracket officially reveal, and me and Brock will be taking you through what we think based off pretty much right away initial reactions on what we see when it gets released here in about the next 3 minutes. So tune in, enjoy it. We might be here a while, who knows? But we will be talking hoops for the foreseeable future here, and just excited to do it with none other than the OGs, me and Brock.
Yes, sir. This is like Christmas to me, man.
No
Christmas
kidding.
in March is my second favorite month of the year, just because of college basketball. You know, first month, of course, August, because yours truly was born on that month.
Hey,
Uh,
baby.
but it's been great. This week has been absolutely crazy, and I mean, what a bad year to be on the bubble
Right.
for
I
those
mean,
Power Five teams.
that's probably the main storyline of the year, right? If you are just coming into this for the first time, if you're just kind of checking in on the bracket, you're here to see the bracket, whatever. Um, the bubble this year, you do not want to be on the bubble this year. I think I don't remember the exact stat, but there was a lot of number one teams in the conference tournaments that went down, and they went down early, and
I
it opened the door.
think a total of unless were there any one seeds playing for championships today?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. So last night UNC losing to NC State made it 21 total one seeds lost in the conference tournament, which tied for the most ever in conference tournament history. So it's a bad showing for one seeds, but at the same time, if you're one of these teams on this bubble, because this is what Joe Lenardi released this morning of the bubble, uh, I'm sorry, but
You're sweating.
I don't know how many of these teams we're actually going to see. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I think you're with me that we think that the Missouri Valley. Last week we both agreed that probably the Missouri Valley should have a two bid season.
yeah,
Well, given the current situation and how they usually treat the Missouri Valley, Indiana State is not making it.
yeah. I think we both thought they deserved it, but it was gonna be tough as of last week. After this week, boy, I see it being real tough. Now, could they do it? Sure, but boy, I don't know. It's gonna be tough. That's my initial take here. Is if they get in, I will be surprised. I know a lot of teams wanted, or a lot of people wanted to see them in, but man, I think it's gonna be a tough road, a tough next 35 minutes. Um, if you're a Sycamore fan, for sure.
And there's a lot of teams on here. Their coaches think that they deserve to be in. I know Kansas State Jerome Tang thinks that his program deserves a bid into the tournament. I don't think Kansas State's going to be making
No,
an appearance in the NCAA tournament. They had a really rough uh, season compared to probably what they were expecting.
yeah,
And honestly, I'm okay with them not making it. Jerome Tang has rubbed me the wrong way for obvious reasons. Um, so, did you see? Sorry to get off topic, but did you see TJ's comments after the K State game when they asked him if he should be in?
I did.
K State should be in, and he was just like, I don't pay attention to that. And people were attacking him for not being a Big 12 homer and everything.
I did.
What did you think about that?
I don't know. My thought is right. Like, I don't know what you want him to say. That's my same thought with, um, the the teams that like Iowa State, right? The big debate is right now, should Iowa State be a 1 or a 2, whatever it may be, right? At the end of the day, if you're TJ, your message, your thought at least should be, I don't care. We're just going to go win, right? So I see what he's saying, honestly. I actually think that's a really good answer out of him. Like, it really doesn't matter. It just doesn't. Like, you can sit up here and try to convince all of these committee, everybody that's doing this, oh, the Big 12 is really good. The Big 12 is really good. But at the end of the day, all you really are worried about is yourself and your team. We're just trying to win with what we got, who we have, the team we draw, right? I think that's TJ's mindset, and that's why I think Iowa State's probably going to be fine no matter where they get put. But that I think that's a good mindset for him, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we're looking at the bubble right now. Last four in buys: Colorado State, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, TCU. Last four in: Florida Atlantic, Colorado, Michigan State, Oklahoma. First four out. St. John's, who had a decent run towards the end of the year. I think they have a good future with Coach Pitino. Virginia, Indiana State, who had a great season but probably won't make it, and Seton Hall. And then the next four out with Pitt, Providence, K-State, and South Florida. And they just announced the number one overall seed, I think, and it was UConn, which, I mean, let's be honest, if that wasn't UConn, I think a lot of people would have been shocked. They've had an amazing season, defending national champions, probably the favorite even before the conference tournament started. Definitely one of the two favorites to win the national championship this year, and they'll go up against the 16th seed and Stetson, who's making their first ever NCAA tournament appearance.
Yeah, and I mean, then you look at the next team they put in, right? Florida Atlantic. That's interesting because you look at, like we got the graphic on the screen here, right? Florida Atlantic would be a last four team in, right? Oh yeah, go Cats. Cats in at 9, right? So
Florida Atlantic versus Northwestern.
That's actually a pretty good 8-9 matchup.
I love that matchup.
That's actually a really good 8-9 matchup. Looking at that,
I tell you what, 8-9 matchups are seriously the best.
Yeah, but both those teams, I don't know. That game early on is a brain buster. But that's 8-9, right? That's 8-9 for you.
Oh yeah, and then they're announcing the 5-12 matchup. San Diego State, who had a great run in the NCAA tournament last season, going up against a team that has had a history of upsetting teams in the first round. UAB, who clinched conference championship, and I mean, good Lord, we're getting some good matchups already.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, boy, Auburn is in a tough bracket, and they are a buzzsaw team too. Like, that is tough for Auburn because I could see Auburn going pretty far. Here we go. This is what
Auburn going
Brock's
up
been looking
Yale,
for right here.
Of course, and I'm not liking knowing that
the bottom half
UConn got the 1 seed.
I was waiting to see what you were going to say on this.
But BYU going up against Duquesne. Duquesne had a great run. I'm not going to comment on how I feel about how they spell their name.
Dukes.
But,
like that to me, that 6-11 matchup isn't really that intriguing to me.
Because you think
I think BYU should,
dude, I don't know.
You don't know?
I think Duquesne could be a sweet, like,
oh boy, if you're Iowa State, I don't think you want to be in. I don't know. Illinois might be a tough draw if they're in that.
Their graphics are messed up on this, aren't they? No, they're not.
No.
I'm tripping.
But
Washington State,
it's a tough
at 7.
Washington State at 7 too.
I don't know,
man. I think you really hope Iowa State's not the 2.
The last time Iowa State was a 2 seed, you know, they should have been a 1 seed, and they played Michigan State in the Elite 8. Look at this. We're seeing a repeat of the 2000, you know.
Yeah.
And there it is. Former the reigning defending 2-time Missouri Valley Conference champions, Drake Bulldogs.
Oh baby. Oh baby.
This East region is going to be unbelievable as Iowa State gets announced as the official 2 seed of this region.
That is so brutal.
This is going to be an electric.
It's a gauntlet, man. That is region. A gauntlet right there. BYU's beat them already this year, and they would be the highest if all high seed wins.
And
that's tough.
Dude, just wait until you see that they pulled South Dakota State as the 15th seed. This East region is unbelievable.
Oh, this is so tough.
Crap.
Oh, baby.
Holy crap. So UConn winds up with the number 1 overall seed. We'll face Stetson in the first round. Then the 8-9 matchup gets electric. I love this matchup.
Yeah, that's a good 8-9.
Atlantic and Northwestern. Yep. Potentially to be showstopper in the first round. Boo Buie, I feel like, can lead Northwestern to the win.
Yeah. I mean,
But
you also have to think, right? You look at this, you got UConn, FAU, San Diego State. Where were all three of them last year? Final Four. You have three teams that were in the Final Four last year in the top half of this. And UConn, Auburn, if that's your Sweet 16, boy.
And then you got BYU, Duquesne. I think Duquesne can upset BYU.
Really?
I will say it's more of how Duquesne will adjust, because it seems like BYU always starts out quickly and hot from three, and then for some reason a defense from the opposing team, they'll adjust and then they'll slow down. I mean, just look at the Big 12 tournament when they were playing. They started out quickly and then they slowed down because defenses were able to adjust. So I think Duquesne could beat BYU very easily. Illinois, they've shown that they will not give up in a game no matter what. Like I was telling you beforehand, I don't pay attention much to the Big Ten tournament as much because it's just not a tournament I'm interested in. I watched the first half of the Illinois-Nebraska game, and then I turned on the Big Ten championship game today, and I was wondering where Freddie Hoiberg was. So interesting turn of events for them as they were able to come back against Northwestern, Nebraska, and clinch the Big Ten tournament championship in the championship game against Wisconsin earlier today. Washington Drake, going to be an absolute amazing game for the Bulldogs and the Cougs.
I mean, that region, man. Like a hot take. I don't even initial take.
No, there's going to be no other region that compares to this right
That
now.
is the best. And if you're Iowa State, you are just like, Jesus. Like that.
Again, it's 2000 all over again.
And it's so tough for Iowa State because they can't go to the South. Like they wouldn't go with Houston. So I don't like you. Arizona's going to the West as the two. So you're pretty much UConn or Purdue. I think you really wanted Purdue, but you're with UConn, right? And now, could UConn get beat by FAU maybe or Auburn maybe? Sure, but I don't know. That's a tough region. That is a tough region. Now I will say, as much as I was getting on Illinois right there, Morehead State's a pretty good 14 seed.
Well, I
like Morehead State more than Duquesne.
We got to point out that I think we could see 11-14 matchup in that. I'm not going to lie. But South Dakota State is where TJ started out.
Right. I know. Like, the story, right? The story for Iowa State is there. The story
and
for
not
Iowa
just
State is there.
The story for each round almost, because
exactly
they win that one.
They could play Drake.
They're going to probably play Drake. I'm going to go out on a limb and I say they're going to probably play Drake.
Okay.
I don't think they're, and I'm not someone that makes multiple brackets anymore. Used to be that guy. Learned that it's stupid.
Yeah, you go one.
Go
trust
one.
your gut. You go one.
Literally. But anyways, Drake's winning that. I'm already penciling that one as Drake
penciled
winning.
it in. First upset of the year, 7-10. Brock's got Drake.
Yes, and it's not. Here's the thing: it's not even an upset.
Oh baby.
But anyways, Iowa State versus Drake. They ended the Big Four Classic, and Iowa State would. From what I've been told, is that Iowa State and Iowa just don't want to go and do home and home series with UNI and Drake. Well, there's no escaping now, and you got a neutral site game against a very, very good Drake team.
Imagine the story, dude. You can't run now. Like Drake wins. That's all their mindset. You can't run from us now. And man, I will say, like, me and you had this debate last night. Should Iowa State be a 1 seed? There's just no, like, you aren't. I'm sorry. Like, you can look at it from every angle you want, and there are some angles where it looks like Iowa State should be ahead, but that's just not where you were at to start the week. And I think that's what gets you the most is to start the week. I think Iowa State was 11. I don't think their wins and the other team's losses moved them 7 seeds, 7 positions up to catch that gap. And because you get host a little bit. And if you're an Iowa State fan, I think like you just got to fight now. And I think that's good for them because that's all that team is. And that's all the team's ever been. But to the people that really thought Iowa State should get a 1 seed, I really don't think you had too much of an argument other than the stats that were in front of you.
That's just rough. But now we get to the South Regional, and obviously we expected a Big 12 team to get a 1 seed, Houston, ends up drawing that one first round, of course, in Memphis. And this is just, man, I can't get over how tough that East Regional is going to be.
Oh, that is so hard. Like whoever comes out of that East region is going to be in for should get flowers, right, from somebody else.
Poor
Jesse.
Fred. Poor
Jesse.
Fred. Fred Hoy. The Nebraska Cornhuskers draw the 8-9 matchup versus Texas A&M, and that's going to be because that Nebraska team lives and dies by
that Nebraska team is really small. Really, also A&M was one of those teams that they solidified themselves, but the 9, they're in there, like they're comfortably in there. They're not on the edge; they're comfortably in there.
That's just this tournament.
It's going to be
already,
awesome.
man.
How can you not love this, man?
This is going to be an all-timer. Wisconsin draws the 5 seed. Of course, they dropped it in the Big Ten championship game.
See, Chucky. You see how mad Chucky is right there. That is Heat culture already.
Oh my gosh, shut up. We're not talking about Miami Heat basketball right now. But they draw an interesting matchup against the Dukes of James Madison, though.
Oh,
so
that's going to be a very popular 12-5 right there.
Oh my
significantly more popular than the UAB San Diego State one. This 12-5,
this tournament already is going to be an all-timer.
This 12-5 is going to be, I would guess, one of the most picked upsets. That's a tough one for Wisconsin. I would guess people pick James Madison. I would almost bet 50% of the brackets are going to be James Madison there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be shocked. And I was going to make a theory based off of who just came out on the 4 seed with Duke, thinking that they would give them a favorable route. But they actually match up against a very, very tough team every single year they make the tournament, Vermont, who just continues to dominate in their conference.
Yeah, the old home team advantage in the conference tournament never fails to give you a very, very, very big advantage.
And they've been doing that for years now. They've had a really good run.
Good teams all the time.
Matchup. I love that matchup with Duke. I'm not going to lie.
That could be a 12-13.
I'm seeing this
6-11 right here. I don't see any way State wins this. Initial thought.
I think Texas Tech will probably roll them. I think NC State's high is going to be on a high, coming into this game.
Yeah.
And so maybe
they play 5 in 5 days.
So those who are not watching, 6 seed Texas Tech will go up against 11 seed NC State. NC State miracle run, 5 games in 5 days. You mentioned it before we went live. Last team to do that was the UConn Huskies. But I think Texas Tech is ready. Big 12 versus ACC difference will show. And being that they had to play 5 games in 5 days is going to be rough for them.
Kentucky, Texas Tech, if that happens. Oakland's a good team too. Oakland, very good team. Kentucky Tech.
Yep, Kentucky at that 3 seed, Oakland at the 14 seed. I really like Kentucky to make an Elite 8 appearance in this. I know that they didn't have a good showing. They lost their first game in the SEC tournament, but they can put up points. And you're not someone that believes defense wins championships, so you should be on this Kentucky team.
I am, but the thing about offense is if you're streaky, you don't have great offense, get you in trouble. Boise State, Colorado as one of the first 4 games. Surprised Colorado's in the first 4. Pretty good matchup for them, though. I was really big on Florida. Thought they would be a good sleeper team. Unfortunately, today, big man breaks his leg, and I'm a little less down on him now. But
I like this 10 seed to make the Sweet 16, round of 32.
I think
and
so
honestly, depending on the matchup, I could see the 10 seed making the Sweet 16. Marquette's a streaky team.
It will really depend on Kolek. Will Kolek play? How much can he play? What will he give you? That is a big thing to look for out of that Marquette team. Obviously, you're not going to know when filling out your bracket, but that's a big thing to watch for. But yeah, the South region is here. You got Houston at the 1, Duke at the 4, Marquette at the 2. Who's the 3?
Kentucky.
Kentucky's the 3. Yep.
And then we got some good matchups though. Another great region. I think the East is still a little more difficult.
East is way tougher. Initial thought.
but like overall, it's still a really good region. I love the 5-12 matchup with Wisconsin and James Madison. I love the
Yeah.
matchup with Duke, Vermont.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, I think, will be able to handle NC State pretty well.
Yeah.
I think I could see Colorado making out of that play-in game, maybe making a
Yeah.
run to the Sweet
Yeah.
16. Shout out Eddie Lampkin, former TCU
Right.
standout. Still
That
dogging.
If you're not familiar with that Colorado team, there's a lot of guys on that team that can really, really hoop. Sometimes they get out of sorts a little bit and get a little chaotic, like last night against Oregon, but there's a lot of guys that can really play. Same with that Florida team. Will their bigs be able to match up with Lampkin now that their best big is out?
And I'm telling you, like, games that I'd pencil in, of course, separating the one, I won't talk about the 1 and 2 seed
Yep.
games. Kind of like A&M easily
Yep, I
against
do too.
Nebraska. I just think Nebraska doesn't have the experience yet
And
to,
they're a little small, and they're not
and
as
they're small. And
physical
that's an
as
issue. That is
A&M.
really an issue
Mhm.
with that Nebraska team, and it
Now
showed.
Now, Nebraska has the potential because they have an absolute legend in Tomaniga,
This guy,
who could be the March guy that just goes for 40 and
he
wins
could
you a
be the
game.
Jimmer
And
Fredette of this year.
he could be the hero Nebraska's always wished for. And they would probably get smacked the next round by Houston, but
Imagine if he went off
they would
against
have won a game.
Houston.
Right. Do I
But
think Jamal Shed would let Kessie go off
no,
against
no,
him?
no, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
think so.
no.
But boy, that is an interesting matchup that Nebraska drew. That region, early thought, has less intriguing matchups than the East.
Yes.
However, I could see
more lower
Tech
seeds
going.
making it out of that
Yes.
one.
Like I really like Tech's draw out of that one for them.
Yes. And
will they do something with it? I don't know, but I really do like Tech's draw out of that one.
I think if I had to pencil in a team out of that one right now, would probably be Houston. Just because I think their defense. I know you're not a defense wins championships guy, but they can score on offense too. When
Right,
they
exactly,
want to.
absolutely.
I think they have the tools to make it to the Final Four easily. They're obviously the committee agreed with everybody else that it was UConn and then Houston when it comes to the best teams in college basketball right now. On the other side, see, I think it's easier to pick a Final Four team out in this region than it is the East region, because the East region, I really honestly could see a handful of those teams making amazing runs.
I would agree.
Of course, UConn would be the heavy favorite, but I think you can make more arguments for teams in the East than you could in the other region.
I would say you can make more arguments for teams in the East, but the South right away, initial thought, has less teams, but some of those teams, like Tech, I like their draw. I like I said, I like their draw. I'm not sure how far they'll go. I could see them winning twice. Marquette is going to depend on Kolick. Like, there's teams from from the South that could make that really, really interesting, really, really quick. But the possibilities less, like you said. I think there's only a handful of teams that could make it. And shoot, man, if Kentucky gets hot, look out, right? So I'm not as big on Duke as I am on Auburn as a 4 seed. I think UConn is probably on the same level. I think Iowa State's probably better than Marquette 2 seed wise. Like, if you're just comparing regions, like we said, the East is tougher right away. But I think
Drake shouldn't have been a 10 seed. I'm sorry.
Where do you think they should have been?
I think they should have been the 8-9 matchup. Not that that's a huge jump, but like, I don't know. And of course, I'm saying that after figuring out that we're going to be playing against them potentially in that second round. We, as in me being an Iowa State fan and someone that works for Iowa State.
Right. And I think that's the interesting part about March, right? Is like a lot of takes that get fired off right now are coming from a place of fandom, right? And I think that's good, right? That's good for the game. Like, a lot of people around here are firing off, thoughts, initial thoughts, everything about Iowa State because that's their team, right? And that's their fandom. But that's the concept of what I was hinting at earlier a little bit. Like, when you look at it, it's hard to look at it from a non-fan perspective. And when you're looking at Iowa State versus 1 or 2 seed, if you're a fan of Iowa State, it's 1 seed, it's 1 seed, it's 1 seed, it's 1 seed. And if you're not, you're able to look at it with a little bit more less bias, if that makes sense, right? So I think that's why some of those analysts do a really good job, like all those guys in the studio right now, right? Because they're able to look at it with more of a clean mindset.
And we're getting ready for the Midwest Regional, and this is the one that I wanted Iowa State to be in.
I agree.
Because I
If
think
you're
I
an
know
Iowa
who's
State
going
fan.
to be the 1 seed.
Yep.
And
You
as
wanted
they
the
announced
Midwest if you're an
Purdue,
Iowa State.
and Purdue's going to be that 1 seed. This is the one that I think would have been perfect for Iowa State to come out of already
Right.
before all the rest of the teams
Right.
are matching up. So Purdue will play. I think it was a playing game with Grambling State, or is it Grambling State by himself? Grambling State and Montana State.
Yep.
Which shout out Grambling State making their first ever NCAA tournament appearance in team history. So kudos to them, able to make it. Hopefully they can win a game because that would be kind of cool.
It would be fun.
And hey, Purdue's that team that lost to a 16 seed last year. So I'm just saying.
Purdue is also on the perfect Virginia path. Same amount of
Literally.
wins, lost in the same round of the
And you know what?
tournament.
How this region pans out could be a similar situation for them.
Yeah. I mean, this 8-9
it gets the 8 seed, and Tennessee. TCU gets the 9 seed.
That 8-9 matchup will be tough, but if I'm Purdue, I actually think that's probably the best 8-9 matchup so far in terms of the next round for the 1 seed.
Gonzaga gets the call at number 5. Definitely a down year for the Bulldogs compared to usual.
Oh, baby.
And they will be going up against
Will win. That one will also be a highly picked upset.
Ooh. These 5-12 matchups are getting interesting, man.
That 5-12 matchup right there might be first team to 100. Not kidding.
That's a good
might
take.
Be first team to 90. McNeese, not that big. Gonzaga, really big. Can you control the glass if you're McNeese? Will be the key in that game, I think. Oh.
And at the 4 seed, we got the very injured Kansas Jayhawks.
So if you're Purdue, I feel like you're cooking right now because Samford, also really, really, really good team. So you have the 12 and the 13 in your top half who are really, really good. Could easily pull an upset on the 5 and the 14. If you just take care of business, if you're Purdue, that Sweet 16 looking real nice.
I'm not gonna lie, this looks like a weak region compared to the other two. If
you're Iowa State right now, boy, you are mad.
I'd rather be playing in Charlotte, North Carolina as a 2 seed.
Right. You'll have to see what this is.
The 6 seed, South Carolina Gamecocks. They've had a good year.
Shout out Lamont Paris, hey? How about that? Pick last in the SEC, finishes 5th, gets a new extension. Shout out to that guy.
Going up against the Pac-12 champs. Tournament
That's a good game. I think that'll be an interesting matchup.
Last year of the Pac-12, Oregon Ducks win the tournament. And then right away, they're going to have to match up against another good team if they win in the Creighton Blue Jays at the 3 seed. By the way, is Creighton at a smaller gym?
They're in the women's gym. Yeah.
They have a separate gym?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Good Lord. And then they'll match up against the 14 seed Akron, who should not be in this tournament. Who should not be in this tournament. I'm sorry, but you can argue with a freaking wall. Akron should not be in this tournament. Time
make you mad.
Time and situation, man. We'll get into that in a little bit. But this Akron gets the 14 seed. Texas at number 7 will go up against Virginia makes it as a 10 seed.
And Colorado's low.
And Colorado State as a 10 seed
Colorado
as well.
State. Yeah.
Virginia. Nico Medved and the boys, man. You know what? I could see that one being a good one.
Wow. And if you're Purdue, man.
Dude, this is a really good region.
This is about as good as it gets.
Why are they being so nice to them?
This is
terrible.
As hard.
Tennessee gets the 2 seed, and they will go up against the 15 seed, and we'll see here in a couple seconds when they review it. St. Peter's.
Hey, man, they should have put them at 16 in this region. That would have been hilarious.
That would have been great. Oh my gosh, this is a week.
Yeah, I think if you're Iowa State, you are.
I'd rather be playing in North Carolina. Angry. I'd rather be playing in North Carolina.
Little angry.
This is This is probably going to be the easiest region. I'll tell you that right now.
To make it far, I think that first round is tough though. Like you look at that Purdue, okay.
It's
Utah
front
State,
heavy.
TCU, I don't know.
Front heavy.
Gonzaga, McNeese, I honestly don't know. Sanford, Kansas, I honestly don't know. Like
it's front heavy. Once you make it to the Sweet 16, I feel like the route could get a lot easier.
Yes.
But Purdue gets the 1 seed, Tennessee gets the 2 seed, Kansas at the 4 seed, Gonzaga at the 5 seed, Creighton at the 3 seed. I think Creighton. I don't know. I'm not all in on Creighton.
I'm not either, but I don't.
They're streaky. This is. You know what this? You want to label this region? It's called the streaky region because everybody is streaky. Every single team is, because even Purdue has had some bad games.
I agree, and I think Creighton's probably the sleeper. If you're looking at a sleeper here, that's not the 1 seed to make a Sweet 16. Man, I really could see 12-13 matchup here. I could see McNeese Sanford in the 32.
It's going to be interesting to see if Kansas can get healthy. Do you know the whole situation on their injuries?
I know Dickinson dislocated his shoulder.
Is he going to be available?
This is also a thing I've learned, and I think the teams have learned this as well. Same with Kolek. It has been said that Kolek, Dickinson, and McCullough will be back for the NCAA tournament. Why do I think people say this? Because they watched the freaking college football playoff hose Florida State. So you have to say
you don't think Dickinson's going to play.
I don't know. You don't know. Like, you really can't trust anything you say because there's no, like the NBA where you have to have an official injury report. I could see both of them being game time decisions until legitimately the tip off and then being like, not playing.
If injuries weren't a thing, I'd go on record right now and say Kansas would make the Final Four out of that region.
Right. But what are you going to get out of your best 2 guys? I know Brock is a Johnny Furphy fan, but I'm not. And I seriously don't know where else you score from.
Oh, no.
You got
Furphy would be the guy that would have a good first game and then not score the second round.
They got beat by what, 20 by Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect to the Big 12 or Cincinnati, but Cincinnati should not be beating the 4 seed in the NCAA tournament by 20.
Oh, Lord, this is.
If you're an Iowa State fan, and this was what I was trying to get across yesterday to people that I knew that were talking about, man, we want to be this, and this. You really don't, like, you're going to go to Omaha because that's how it works, but you're honestly going to be better off avoiding Omaha somehow.
I didn't want to go to Omaha. I wanted to be in the. I didn't care where it was. I don't care if we were the 1 seed and they were the 2 seed. I wanted to be in a situation where it was Iowa State and Purdue in the same region.
Yep, and I think that would be the dream scenario if you're an Iowa State fan. You wanted to be in that Midwest region so incredibly bad, and I think you honestly probably wanted to be the 2 in the Midwest region more than you would want to be the 1 in the South. I think that argument could be made.
But I would say I'd rather be the 1 in the South right now than the 2 when they're at.
Yes, completely agreed that East region, if Iowa State comes out of that East region,
worst case scenario
for Iowa State. If Iowa State comes out of that East region, you have no choice. If you're an Iowa State hater, you have no choice but to give it up for them. I don't care who they play because every game they play will probably be hard.
This will really show if defense wins.
I was just watching the thought go through your head right there of how am I going to say about this?
Dude, I'm sorry.
This will show if defense wins.
You know what? I hope she's watching. I doubt it, but I have a class Thursday night from 5 to 8, and we're supposed to review research papers because I'm a grad student. I'm sorry for whoever's paper I have to review. If we're supposed to review it between that 5 to 8 time period and Iowa State is playing, you're not getting any critiques. I'm sorry. I'm not getting
any feedback.
I'm just going to be like, looks good. Thumbs up. That's all I'm going to say. And
I can't believe
if that person doesn't just cancel class, I'd rather go 6 hours the following week than have to wait and sit through that game.
He's living.
But anyways, off my soapbox about how terrible grad school is. But the West region, North Carolina gets the final 1 seed. We kind of all saw that coming, obviously, with Iowa State not picking up the 1 seed. Because it was really kind of, if there was going to be a switch, it would be those two. They'll play the winner of the play-in game between Howard and Wagner.
Hey, Howard's got a Seth Towns. He's older than Jason Tatum. Not kidding.
Oh God.
Ooh, that's a tough 8 seed.
Ew. I hate that 8-9 game.
I hate that 8-9 game, but that's a tough 8 seed.
State versus 9 seed Michigan State.
Why? I don't know why Michigan State's a 9 seed and Colorado State's a 10. I don't quite get that, but Mississippi State, good 8 seed right there.
You want to know why Michigan State got a higher seed than Colorado State? It's the name on their chest. Okay. I will tell you that.
I knew you'd get there eventually. I'm surprised it took us 37 minutes before you got there.
So far, I haven't been shocked. Like everything that's happened. This 5-12 matchup, the 5-12 games are going to be amazing this year already. Yeah. But St. Mary's at the 5 seed versus number 12 seed Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon, I already know, will be a favorite for a lot of people to make a run.
I really like St. Mary's.
St. Mary's had a good tournament run. Yeah. But we'll see. Grand Canyon, they made some news with that scrappy finish. But in their conference tournament, but either way, they come in as a 12 seed. And then we also have a 4-13 matchup that a lot of people are going to be interested on. Alabama at the 4 seed and Charleston at the 13.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to say on that one. I don't know. That's
Alabama
just little quad right
didn't
there.
Alabama give their coach an extension and then they lost that same day?
Yeah.
So good for them. Clemson coming in at the 6th seed. I like this 11 seed that's coming in though against Clemson. They had a really good run in the Mountain West tournament. New Mexico.
Yeah. I early thought I'd take New Mexico there. Early thought I'd take
Eddie House's kid.
Yeah. You see him in the stand yesterday? That's my son.
Dog.
That's
gonna be unbelievable.
Look at him just posing there with the trophy. Dog.
Oh, he's like, we ain't going home.
I don't know, dude. New Mexico could win twice.
Baylor at the 3 seed and 14 seed Colgate. Toothpaste, yeah.
Shout out Toothpaste School. I don't know, man. I feel like New Mexico State.
I'm not high on Baylor at all.
Me either.
This region's getting weak too. They put too much in that stupid East region. I'm telling you,
it's really hard.
Good Lord.
Like Dayton's a 7-year. Like Dayton's good. They're no Washington State, though, in my opinion. Nevada versus Drake,
Nevada, really, Nevada. We call it Nevada here. For those in the Iowa area, know what I'm talking about. And then Arizona rounds up as the final 2 seed. I said as long as we could stay out of UConn or Arizona's bracket, Iowa State fans should be happy. They didn't, of course, escape UConn, but they escaped Arizona at least, I guess.
I don't know
and they're going up. I completely forgot about this team at the 15 seed, Long Beach State, who mutually agreed to part ways with their coach of 17 years.
Monday.
And then they win the tournament.
Yeah, on Monday. Like Monday. And then they went to the tournament and won it all. And now they're in the dance.
He just walked into the locker room after he got the news, or like after they mutually agreed, whatever that means. And they just went, what if we just won the whole damn thing? And that's exactly what they did.
Right. I mean, that's wild. My early thoughts on the entire bracket, I'm not quite sure how the Big East only got 3 teams in. I mean, it makes sense. But I really feel like the Big East, maybe this is just my thoughts. I feel like the Big East might be the best conference to prepare you for the NCAA tournament. Not the best conference, but the best conference to get you ready for the NCAA tournament, because all the teams are real different. Whereas in the Big 12, a lot of teams just play beat you up, run it, like everybody just plays that way. Big East, I think, prepares you the best for the NCAA tournament. I'm surprised that Seton Hall and St. John's got hosed a little bit. Not shocked, just a little bit surprised.
Yeah. Well. Here we are again. Brock is thinking about taking a 2-seed Arizona to the Final Four.
It never fails.
Oh my gosh. Literally, pull up the episode from last week. We were talking about how I took an Arizona 2-seed to the national championship game to win. And here we are again, a whole calendar year later, and I think Arizona might come out of that West region.
I might be in on Arizona too. Come on. And every year, man. They'll lose to some of the first team, and it's
They'll
like
lose Long Beach State. I guarantee it.
The team with no coach.
I swear to God, man. This is just unbelievable.
Oh man.
So
also surprising, no Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's nothing special to me.
Agreed.
I'm sorry.
Okay, here we go. Last four in: Boise State, Colorado, Virginia, Colorado State. First four out: Oklahoma, Seton Hall, Indiana State, Pittsburgh. I'm surprised St. John's is nowhere to be found on that.
Yeah, that is a good point.
I'm surprised St. John's is nowhere to be found on that.
It had to be their beginning of the year.
Had to be.
Because they had a good ending of the season, but they did not start out well. I will say, I don't know. And again, it's a lot on recency bias, probably.
Yeah.
I'd still would have put Indiana State in over Virginia.
I can't believe St. John's not on that list.
Dude, I agree with you, but I still think Indiana State should have been in over Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia's an interesting team because if Virginia doesn't get in, I guess you have four teams now because NC State won it all, but ACC
That's
down this
strictly
year.
Off of name. I will go on a limb. Dude, you cannot tell me Indiana State doesn't deserve it over Virginia.
Yeah, I see.
What did Virginia get for the seeding again? Let me see
10.
if I can find this. 10? Dude,
10.
Come on. That's literally what Drake was put at. Put Indiana State there.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm a little bit with you, I think.
I think Virginia made it because of their seeding, because of their name, and because they have the history.
I could actually see that.
At the same time, I'm not saying that they can't make a run. They have a really, really good coach, and if anybody could be able to coach a 10 seed, that probably shouldn't. It's giving me wasn't Syracuse like a 10 seed once and they made the Final Four? Like,
yeah.
Do you remember what I'm talking about? I think I'm trying to remember what year that was. Let me look.
It was when they were. It was when I think they were 11, and I think they had like O'Shea Brissett, and it was not that long ago. It was really not that. I know what team you're talking about. I don't remember the year, but they had. I'm pretty sure they had like O'Shea Brissett. They had a couple other guys. Like they were not a bad team that year.
That's what it's giving. I'm not saying that they're this Virginia team is going to the Final Four, but it's giving me the vibes where it's like they kind of made it because of their name, but they could make some noise because of their name and the coach that they have.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, here we go. Early thoughts out of you. What do you got? Early thought out of you. Give me one.
Dude, this is why I don't care about locations in the tournament.
I couldn't agree more.
Because especially when your fans travel well already. So this whole Iowa State needs to play in Omaha thing, and maybe it's more, maybe if it was a different situation for me, I wouldn't care because I wouldn't be able to go to Omaha anyways because Thursday night got class.
Right.
Saturday night, someone thought it was a good idea to schedule a freaking wedding during March Madness. By the way, anybody that does that, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say it. I can't. Oh, man. If Iowa State, especially if Iowa State, oh, my God, Iowa State and Drake, and I'm going to miss that for a wedding.
So Brock's early thought is location
It does not
He
matter.
does not
I'd
matter.
rather get the better matchup.
I would say, outside of our initial thoughts of Iowa State kind of got hosed.
Purdue is making the Final Four.
And I feel like Arizona might. I ain't gonna lie, man. Every year, somehow that team sucks you in and makes you think that there's a chance. Might be the year they make the Final Four. Might be. It just might be. I will say that's just my early thoughts. I think the South is okay, is tough. I think the East is dang near impossible. I think the West is fairly easy. I know a lot of people are going to be on Grand Canyon. I low key like St. Mary's could maybe get a little far. Keep in mind, I picked St. Mary's to beat UConn last year in the second round, and that happened. So I am for some reason like St. Mary's homer a little bit, but I kind of like St. Mary's.
Dude, I can't get over that people wanted to play in stupid Omaha so badly.
Yeah, I can't.
And now it's literally gonna be.
It's gonna hose you.
Because even if they make the Final Four, dude, they're gonna be so freaking destroyed, like tired, like the energy is gonna be out. Like,
wow, this is mad interesting. Are you seeing this graphic right now? In theory, if you base off the total top 4 seed total, the East is the easiest. Iowa State was the 8.
Just so stupid.
Yeah.
They were the 8 and they won the freaking conference tournament.
Go off. Get going.
You knew this rant was going to happen.
I tried to tell you last night. Let's go, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a 10-second moment of silence for the relevance of conference tournaments.
Okay. I'm not joining.
Sports Podcast.
I'm not joining in on this 10 seconds of silence. Brock's having a 10 seconds of silence. I refuse to have this. The first 2 seed was Tennessee. The first 2 seed was Tennessee. It was not Iowa State. I'll let Brock have 1 moment of silence.
Thank
Jay
you.
Wright just said Iowa State wasn't even close. Oh, here we go. We asked because it's a non-conference strength of schedule. I'll tell you what this guy says. They look at the non-conference strength of schedule. We look at the entirety of the season from the first game to the last. It's the full body of work. That's just how it is. I get the conference tournament, man. But that's just not.
But am I wrong that the conference tournament doesn't matter anymore?
I really do think you're wrong. Because
Power 5 wise, I do not think so. Let me rephrase that because Power 5 is no longer a thing. Big 12, SEC, ACC, and Big 10. Maybe the Big East. Maybe. They're very like 3 good. There's a reason they only have 3 teams. 3 good teams, average bubble teams. Outside of those 4 conferences, the conference tournaments do matter. Those 4 conferences, conference tournament does not matter because I don't care if Houston was banged up. I will die on the hill to let everybody know that Lipsy has not been 100% since the beginning of the season. I know people that went down to the in-season tournament down in Florida where he was having to change his knee leg sleeves or whatever because he was literally bleeding from his knees every single minute of every game in that tournament. So Iowa State hasn't been 100% since the beginning of the year either. And then they go and destroy Houston by 30. I'm not saying that they should have been the last 2 seed. I mean the first 2 seed, but I'm not saying that they deserve to be the last.
Yeah.
Because Tennessee lost in their first round of their conference tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got destroyed too. I think
you're right.
situations happen. Marquette didn't win their conference tournament. Arizona didn't win their conference tournament.
So I think
You well,
they're okay. So they're
dude,
talking about
look at
Indiana State right now. Okay. They're saying that look at the non-con out of conference schedule that they played really, really bad. So what this is telling me is the non-conference out of schedule really does matter. And I think there's a lot of people who were saying this year, right? The Big 12 was gaming the net. The Big 12 was screwing with the net. The out of conference matters because it's the entire season. If it was truly just the conference championships, like you're saying, not that you're saying this, but like that you're saying the conference championships should matter a lot, right? I'm not saying they shouldn't. But what I was trying to say is the conference regular season as a whole shouldn't weigh less or more than the conference tournament itself, which means the out of conference, if my thought process is, let's say, okay, let's look at Iowa State and UNC. UNC wins the regular season, so they got one there. They lose their conference in the conference championship. Okay. Iowa State doesn't win the regular season, wins the conference championship. So it's basically 1-1. If you look at what they did before all of this started, you would give the edge to UNC. Is that right? I don't know. Is that wrong? I don't know. But that is how the committee has viewed it, and that is how the committee will continue to view it going forward. That's just why they said they kept Indiana State out, because their beginning of the year games were not that good.
Okay, let me rephrase it then. If I'm not going to say rest in peace to the conference tournament, rest in peace to the relevancy of the net rankings.
I will say rest in peace to average teams playing really bad teams in the non-conference to start the year. I would get on board with that rest in
The
peace,
net rankings
because
don't matter though. The net rankings don't matter because because net rankings, dude, come on.
I think net rankings matter, but they don't matter entirely. I think they look at this is their criteria. Net rankings is one of them.
The thing I just can't get over is that Iowa State and Baylor. Because I paused it. I don't know where you're at on the selection show. I'm paused on this top 4 thing. Iowa State and Baylor aren't even separated by one spot. It's literally 8-9.
Right. So you're saying
So you're telling me that Iowa State and Baylor are that close, but yet I don't think it was that close of a game.
Right. And the one thing that's always interesting to me is I can't, like this year, right? I can't tell. You have to almost, it makes me think the committee's really just looking at their criteria, because they kept Oklahoma out. So you can't be that big on the Big 12 because you kept Oklahoma out as the first team out. But you're also saying that Baylor is probably the best 3 seed and Iowa State's the worst 2 seed. What? So you have that makes me think there's no bias in terms of conferences, right? Like
the thing that just really irks me about this, the top 4 seeds, let me see here. There are 4 conference tournament champions.
Yeah.
They are all on the East.
and they put the graphic up of the seed numbers. The East had the highest number, which means in theory that's the weakest region.
So then why do the conference tournaments matter?
Okay. There's arguments on both sides, right? Like I could see this side, I could see the other side of like Arizona. Why was Tennessee being the number 1 seed is solely based off the entire year winning the SEC. Like,
oh, you mean 2 seed?
Oh yeah, 2 seed. The first best 2 seed. Tennessee, that shows you, in my opinion, that the entire year matters. Not just what just happened. And then you compare that to Iowa State, right?
Okay. Let's see if I can. So you know the top 4 seeds of each region. Yeah. How would you rank them 1 through 16? Because I would go UConn 1, Houston 2, Purdue 3, and North Carolina 4. I think that's a given.
If that's I agree. I'd probably go Iowa State 5. Tennessee, no.
I think
Marquette
honestly, given
7,
what they
maybe?
probably look at, I'd probably go Tennessee 5.
Yeah, if we're going
Iowa
what the
State.
committee thinks, I agree.
I can see the Tennessee and Arizona thing. I can't see the Marquette one. That's the one that really is confusing to me.
Yeah.
Maybe let me look at who they played non-conference, I guess.
I don't know. I think it's just an interesting debate that's now going to be happening because there's so many good teams this year. So many good teams this year.
Let me see here.
So
they did beat Kansas, but like that game doesn't really rank up as much as it used to. Lost to Wisconsin.
So my thought is, are you taking into consideration that Kansas was full strength then? I don't know. I don't know that.
But like the Kansas came in, they were 1 at the time when the Marquette beat them. It's the same team. If they were at full strength, it was the same team that Marquette beat, and Kansas still wouldn't be a 1 seed today.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, I wonder if they still looked at the time. That's really dumb because you can argue whether or not Kansas was better than they are now because I feel like they're the same team. I don't know. I'm happy I'm not part of the committee.
It's a tough job.
It's a tough job. Okay, so keep going. So I would go UConn 1, Houston 2, Purdue 3, North Carolina 4, Tennessee 5. I could honestly go Arizona 6, Iowa State 7, Marquette 8.
Yeah, I think I'd do that.
Can we agree on that? If anything, I could go Arizona 5, Tennessee 6. Like those two could.
I think Arizona 5, Tennessee. I would do that.
Okay, I can agree with that. Iowa State 7, Marquette 8.
Yeah,
I'd still go Kentucky 9.
9
over Kentucky 9, Baylor 10. Hear me out. Illinois 11, Creighton 12.
I honestly would maybe put Illinois like 8 at 9. I really think Illinois is good.
I'm fine with that. And then for the 4 seeds, I'd
Auburn
go Auburn.
Yeah,
exactly. And they have them as the worst.
They have the second worst.
Okay,
Alabama's the worst. But still, I agree. They have Duke better and Kansas better.
Oh my gosh. You can't tell me that your name doesn't matter. Does this
your name matters to an extent?
Do you not think that it may have affected the 2 seed rankings though? Because the last time Iowa State was a 2 seed, nobody wants to talk about that. Even though Arizona loses as a 2 seed every freaking year.
But like, let's not act like Arizona is some massive name brand. They're bigger than Iowa State for sure. For sure. Bigger than Iowa State. But like Marquette, I wouldn't say Marquette's more important than Iowa State by any means.
I think you can make an argument Arizona's a huge brand.
Really?
Yeah.
So I could see that.
Out of the 16 teams that I'm looking at, UConn would probably be number 1. Oh no. North Carolina probably would be.
We're talking brand.
Brand.
Okay, yeah, I'd probably go North Carolina 1.
Probably Duke 2.
Duke's up there.
Being honest, Duke or no.
Kentucky, Duke. Those are your top 3. Outside of that,
UConn, Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas are top 4.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I think Arizona would be the next one.
Over who else is in there?
Purdue, Tennessee, Creighton, Baylor, Alabama.
Yeah, okay. I think you're right. I think I might have to. I think Arizona is probably
because they're always up there. That's the thing is like.
Yeah, recent. I would say like in the past. I was thinking like ever in the past like 10 years. Yeah, Arizona's definitely up there.
20 years. I'd say since the 2000s, Arizona is a top.
Yeah, I could say that.
Top 10, top 5.
Yeah,
brand in college basketball because they're always really good. I mean, they've won national championships before. The problem is with them is that they always end their season recently very, very upsetting wise to their fan base.
Yeah. I will say you're okay. So this would be my question then. Iowa State, Marquette, Creighton, rank those three name brand wise.
What was that? Iowa State, Creighton, and
Marquette,
who?
Creighton.
Marquette. I really don't know how the media outside the Midwest looks at Creighton.
Right.
I would say a lot more people look at Iowa State than they look at Creighton strictly off of Hilton.
Right.
So I would say it's still Marquette's heavy one. Then there's a gap, and then it's Iowa State, and then a little more of a gap, and then Creighton strictly off of home court advantage.
Yeah, and I mean Tennessee's probably more than Iowa State.
Yeah, recently,
So
yeah.
in theory,
Well, because they
out of
stole
all,
well, not really stole. They took Barnes from Texas, and Texas, I think, is still regretting that.
yeah. So I mean, in theory, you would go 8 out of those 8 teams. I could see the argument that Iowa State is the least known brand out of those 8. I could see that argument out of all
I
the
could
top
see that
2 seeds.
argument.
I could see that.
Probably out of who watches people, Iowa State's probably the least watched. Media-wise, I think a lot of media people follow Iowa State strictly. Again, like off of that home court advantage, a lot of people will pay attention to them more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting, right? I think now I don't know if I get behind the narrative that the committee cares about the name brands that much.
Virginia says otherwise.
You really think they got in solely because name brand?
So. I really okay. Before I completely jump on that, let me completely look at their body of work.
Well, okay, and I would to maybe back your point a little bit. Who else in that first 4 is other than I mean, you're going to get insane viewers anyways, right? You just are. But if you're really worried about viewership and numbers, who else from that first 4, if you don't watch basketball a lot, would you tune in for if you had no care in the world?
See, I think a lot more, and this is strictly off of Robbie, but I think a lot of people would tune in to Indiana State over Virginia.
Well, and what the first 4 does, like if you really do it, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but if you do it, it gives you a game you can win, so you can build like some momentum of, oh, look at this guy, he had 25 points, or this, like you could build. It's easier to build it because you have one more game, and you have it against, in theory, an equal opponent.
So Virginia has 10 losses.
Okay.
If NC State doesn't make the NCAA tournament, 7 of those 10 losses are to teams that didn't make the tournament.
Yeah, and you're taking them over Oklahoma. That's your based on the committee, right? Like,
yes. Oklahoma. No, I'm not even on Oklahoma. Oklahoma.
They were the first team out, so I don't know if that's what you're.
I'd still take Indiana State over Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I love that the quad website with all the quad 1 wins and all that is crashed.
Yeah.
Can't even look at it right now. But no, I want to. I would like to assume that the committee just put Virginia in because of their background and
they're also
their name, but I don't know.
I mean, it's also interesting because, like, I really think they don't look at the name all that much, because if you did and you knew anything about Virginia this year, that is not a fun team to watch. Like, that team, they're okay, but if you're like fun factor, that team's not fun to watch. Like, they don't have anybody that can really score that much. They've slowed the game down a lot. It's first team to 50. Like, if you really are going off watchability, that is one of the teams that you really don't enjoy watching if you're just a casual fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
This is just a sticky situation, man.
I think this is why basketball is fun, right? Because it's March Madness. You can debate all of these things. And in theory, there is a counterpoint to everything you argue, right? You can argue its name, and you'll find some example where it's not, right? You can argue that it's the tournament championships matter, right? You can find an argument where they don't. Iowa State, right? Like there's so many things that you can do that you can counter back and forth from that you don't know that there's always going to be a counterpoint to.
Location just doesn't matter.
Location doesn't matter. I couldn't agree more.
I don't care where they play. I'd rather get a better draw. For the people that were all in on trying to get to Omaha, I hope you're freaking happy. Not that I'm saying that. Again, I'm not saying that Iowa State's like done for. Because I think Iowa State, if any Iowa State team in the last 15 years could do it and make the Final Four, it's this team. And this team has more heart than I've ever seen before.
And we're also looking at it from Iowa State perspective. It's also hard for UConn. UConn could lose early.
The number one, I've always thought, and again, rankings wise, they probably did it so it looks like it, but from the eyes of the fans, it doesn't look like this. But the number one overall seed should have the easiest path to the Final Four.
And in theory, right?
They did
right? Because you look at the seeds and it's like, okay, Iowa State's the 8.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the difference between the committee and the fans.
Right. And I think that's where we get lost a little bit because people are fans, right? And you look at it through a fan lens. And I think Iowa State's a perfect example, specifically because we live in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I enjoy watching Iowa State, but I would not say I'm like I love like Iowa State or die. Like, I feel like I try to look at it through a pretty relative rose-colored glass.
Softball
right?
series this weekend. I'm all in.
You are all in, and a lot of people around here are all in, and that's good. That's how it should be, right? So a lot of these people that are analysts that people get on don't look at teams through that lens, other than maybe like Jay Billis, like looking at Duke a little bit different, right? Like,
I knew it was over when Seth Davis said Iowa State was a 1 seed.
Yeah, or like when anytime Josh Pate gets in on it, that dude, love that guy. If you're an Iowa State fan, you should love that guy.
Interesting information for people getting ready to fill out their brackets. No team in college basketball history, unless someone is able to look it up and prove me wrong, lost the first round of their respected conference tournament. So maybe conference tournaments do matter when filling out your bracket, though. No team has lost their first game in the conference tournament and proceeded to go and win the national championship. So looking at the top 4 seeds who did that, Tennessee would be out, Creighton would be out, Kentucky would be out, Kansas would be out, and Duke would be out. Also, the last couple, like I think it's last 11 of 14 national champions finished in the top 3 or better in BPI the final week.
Yeah.
Houston, UConn, Purdue.
Yeah.
Teams right below them, the next 3. Auburn is number 4, which is a little surprising, but they're a good team.
They're Arizona also in that region.
Yep. Arizona and Iowa State. Last one is I gotta look at for the official stat on it. Let's see what it was. UConn is the only team to finish outside of the top 6 of the coaches poll in the final week and win the national championship. Top 6 heading into this week: Houston, UConn, Purdue, North Carolina, Tennessee, who lost first round of the conference tournament, so X them out. Creighton lost first game, cross them out. Arizona and Iowa State are right below Creighton and Tennessee. So Houston, UConn, Purdue, and North Carolina are really the favorites based off of the statistics that people follow. And here I am getting ready to put Arizona back in the Final Four for yet another year.
There's also the argument, this argument, right? So you look at the East, right? I know we're kind of stuck on the East, but the East is really tough, really tough. You have 4 conference champion winners in the East, right? Besides UConn, you have, out of those 4, 0 of them won the regular season tourney. Champion won the regular season. So, like that's what I was trying to say earlier about like it almost is 1 and 1. Like they're not, one's not more important than the other, but they're equally important, right? Like you have to.
The regular season is important for seeding. The conference tournament is important for the fans when filling out their bracket.
Absolutely. I'll get on that. I can get behind that. But, and I think Iowa State fans, right, specifically because we live in it, have not experienced this high in a long time. So you're usually just happy with what you get, right? Like
2015.
Okay, right. Okay, true.
No, was it 2015 or 2014? 2015, yeah.
What was the year they were the 3?
2015.
That was that. So okay, but they've never been in a relative fight for a 1 in a long time.
Okay, I was gonna say in a long time, yes.
Long time, right? So
they got screwed once on not being a 1 seed.
Right. But I just feel like you have to look at it as, we both agree that is a brutal region. Brutal. But in theory, UConn's the only regular season champion there. Now, does the regular season matter? Absolutely. But a lot of times it's what you've done for me now, not what you've done for me lately, not what you've done for me. Right. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And I think, I don't know. We both agree the East is tough. Iowa State got a really tough draw, but Iowa State could do, like, if it's Iowa State, UConn, Iowa State can do stuff to UConn that UConn's not used to doing, right? And Auburn can do that to UConn, right? So you may not even meet UConn, right? So it's going to be interesting for Iowa State specifically. If we look at like the rest of the bracket, those 5-12s are going to be good as usual. Those 4-13s are going to be good.
8-9s are great per usual.
8-9s are freaking phenomenal.
Boo Booey, baby. Boo Booey's going to upset UConn in the second round, baby.
Boo Booey's going to have to go over about 50.
You know what though?
Win the first
those
round.
8-9 matchups, those are where the Jimmer Fredette's, the names. No, like this year with the matchups, like you got Boo Booey on one side. Dude,
Jesse.
He's gonna be electric, man. I hope he goes off.
I mean, that Michigan State Mississippi State game is just like so ugly. Like,
it's disgusting. I don't even want to pick that. You know what? I know people that still do the coin flip, and then they ask me for advice, and then they end up getting second because I tell them to take Arizona to the Elite Eight,
right?
At least. And they wanted to take Princeton based off of their coin flip. But anyways, right. That's a game that I would literally do a coin flip because that game is just so ugly.
Yeah, that game is disgusting. 6-11, there's going to be some good match.
I like New Mexico. I really do.
I love New Mexico, maybe even twice. Like I really like New Mexico.
Dude,
I don't really like NC State. I don't really like NC State.
Chat, we need people need to start commenting like, don't Brock, don't take Arizona to the Final Four again.
Chat, talk Brock off a ledge, but I think I might be doing it. So early thoughts.
I'm gonna do it again.
That bottom half is just not very good.
No,
Dayton's okay team. Nevada.
I could see just how this West region is so disgusting. I could see not terrible because Baylor's had some bad teams, but I could see this Baylor team somehow sneaking into a Final Four appearance,
or sneaky New Mexico.
It's just that if there was going to be a double-digit seed that makes a Final Four, that region would be the one to pick one.
Yeah, like I could see, like I think James Madison's going to be a good pick over Wisconsin. A lot of people pick that. Vermont and Duke, like that's a hot pick, but like
I could see
is
Duke making a
Houston
sneaky run too, though.
yeah, but like is Houston really gonna get punked by anybody again? No, right?
I really think they're a
Now,
lock for the
Houston, Texas A&M, that's a freaking dogfight.
battle of defenses.
Yeah.
Defense.
Defense. And sometimes Houston worries me a little bit because I don't know, like sometimes it's like who's scoring for you? Like who's gonna put the ball in the bucket? But they always find this way to have somebody. Man, I don't know. Pretty good bracket. I mean, and this is the best part about March, right? Every year, this is a good bracket, man. This is gonna be a good year and never disappoints.
I have one ask of the TV people. Please make the Iowa State game on Thursday before 5 to 8. It can start at 7:30. I'm fine with watching the second half only.
Is it Thursday? Are they Thursday? I didn't look
Yeah,
at
they're
the times.
Thursday. They're Thursday,
Saturday.
Class wedding. I'm sorry. Depending on when Iowa State plays Saturday.
No. Okay. Thursday,
no,
Saturday.
I'm going, but like they could be like, is there anyone that would like to speak out why these two should not be married or forever hold your peace? I'm watching on my phone. No, that's terrible. Like, oh yeah, I can't wait.
God.
This is gonna be electric.
I guess we'll find out when the times get released. Maybe Iowa State's early game.
I think it comes out either late tonight or tomorrow morning.
Or maybe they're like that. Omaha, they might be right on the money.
They know what they're doing. They're wanting that Drake Iowa State game to be a night game.
Yeah, it's Omaha. It's not like those teams out west are usually late. Teams out east are usually early. Like
I don't know.
Omaha's right in the middle, so I could see like 3 to 7 anywhere in there.
I could see it being 8
or
8:30.
Yeah, 3 to 8, right? Anywhere in that time frame. But it's also March Madness, which
please be 8:30. Please be 8:30 on Saturday night.
Well, this is what I was gonna say. One of my favorite parts about March Madness, it won't be 8:30. It'll be like 8:37. Like they have all these just random times. Love it.
Oh yeah.
Well, you got anything else off the initial thoughts? Initial bracket thoughts.
I like Colorado as a 10 seed, man.
Yeah, that's a good draw for them.
Let me rephrase that. I like the winner out of Boise State, Colorado to beat Florida, but I like Colorado more to make a deeper run.
That's one of those games where this is why I wait till like legitimately the last second to fill my bracket. Like, I think if Boise State wins, Florida wins. I think if Colorado wins, Colorado wins.
I think I could see Colorado in the Sweet 16.
You think they could get again? It's going to depend on Kolek, right? It's 100% going to depend on Kolek. If Kolek doesn't play, I mean, Marquette still got dogs. Cam Jones, like they got players.
Yeah.
But again, that Colorado's a pretty good team.
I wish this was like fake, like life wasn't real, and like the tournament, everybody was healthy right away. You know what I mean? Because like you didn't have to like
confused where you're going with that.
No, because like
life wasn't real.
Like Kansas being 100% as a 4 seed.
Yeah.
At one point, I thought Bill Self was actually like strategically not tanking, but he wasn't worried about losing because he's like, come tournament time, we get a good draw, like they do.
Yeah, they have.
And if we're healthy,
mm-hmm.
But looking at the other ones, those 5-12 matchups are going to be unbelievable. Like we said, Kansas, they got to find someone to score. Furphy would be the guy. Of course, I've mentioned a couple times that I would look towards to be that guy. This Zach Edey's legacy right now in college basketball is being really good during the regular season and really bad during the postseason. And you know what? This week has proved it even more. This draw that he has, I'm sorry, but if you screw this up and don't make even this, if they miss the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, and even maybe the Final Four, given this draw that they got.
And this Purdue team, in contrary to last year, like we've talked about it, guards win you championships, right? They just do. This year's Purdue team with Smith, glad he's okay. Lawyer and Lance Jones have so much more experience than last year's team of Smith and Lawyer because of what they went through last year, right? Like Obviously, Jones is transferred in from Southern Illinois, but those guards have so much more experience from last year, even playing just that one game, right? Like
TCU can beat them, man.
But can TCU beat Utah State? Like this is why brackets are
TCU is
freaking
a
awesome.
team that beats themselves.
Right. Absolutely. Like that one, they've always been that way. That 1 year against Arizona where they had them not that long ago, and then Matherin went crazy. Like
Matherin, man, that guy is a
they
beast.
just beat themselves. Like I don't know. So my early thoughts are I'm going to see a lot of McNeese's. I'm going to see a lot of James Madison.
I can tell you Grand Canyon's going to probably be the most out of our
And
central
Grand
group.
Canyon.
Grand Canyon will be the number one team.
I'm taking St. Mary's.
I'm taking St. Mary's. And that one will be a day of selection for me. But
yeah, that's going to be tough.
I like Duquesne. I really do. I really do.
I really don't.
As much as I hate their name. And you know what? Fine with me. I hope they lose by 50. That's what you get for putting an S in your stupid name.
And a Q.
I know very smart people that couldn't figure out how to pronounce that team's name. And you know it's an issue when they can't and I can't either. I have a personal issue with Duquesne.
Brock's got beef with Duquesne, everybody.
Even though they have one of the best stories in college basketball right now. And you know what? Last thing I'll say, I'm not going to take them because, again, I think I'm convincing myself into doing the one thing I told myself I wasn't going to do. But I will be okay with completely having my bracket busted if Long Beach State makes a run with this coach that they basically already said, oh, yeah, by the way, you're not coming back.
I will say there's a lot of interesting coaching scenarios in there. I mean, we got Duquesne, right? Duquesne's coached the GOAT himself, LeBron James, in high school. So that's awesome.
So,
Brock's cooking something up right now. He's in his brain's in the lab.
I want your opinion.
Oh boy.
Do you think this is Darren DeVries' last tournament with the Bulldogs?
No. He's not going to Iowa.
I'm not even saying them.
Where do you think he's going?
Michigan.
Nah. I don't know, man. That's tough. Okay, we got stories like that too,
if
right?
They make the Sweet 16.
Okay, if they get hot, yeah.
If they make the Sweet, I don't think there's one team out of this state that I think he would leave for, and it's a team that is not getting rid of their coach for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's Creighton.
I agree.
Creighton's the only team I really can see.
I agree.
However, money talks, man.
Money talks.
And Michigan is a team that will, like I said, what Iowa should do, which, again, when the season ends, we can go on a rant about what Iowa's future program looks like, especially depending on what Drake and Iowa State do. I don't think people realize this is a bigger postseason for a team that's not in the tournament in Iowa, just as much as it is for Drake and Iowa State.
Well, and on that same note, like I think a lot of people that are Iowa fans, the season tickets were really low this year. They didn't sell a lot. A lot of it because they were going to the women's, right?
It's going to be worse, though.
I tell you right now, are not getting any worse. So they're going to keep the tickets for the women's at Iowa are going to still be the same. They might go down a little bit because Clark's not there, but they're going to stay about the same. Like,
when's the women's
really
bracket
good record?
7. Do we want to come back on at 7?
Okay, we can't, or we can go we can do it tomorrow or something. Like we can talk about it. But anyways, like Iowa's really, really good recruits coming in on the women's side. And if you're banking if you're an Iowa fan and you're banking on we'll get some of those people back because they only want to buy one season ticket.
Oh no, I tell you what,
you're gonna get some, but you're not gonna get a lot.
Only Iowa fans, and I'm not talking fair weather fans. I'm talking black and gold to the bone, Iowa Hawkeyes till I die type of fans. Carver Hawkeye Arena is going to have lick lighter attendance numbers next year.
It ain't gonna be pretty.
Only Hawk fans know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Iowa men's basketball next year, if nothing happens through the transfer portal, given their history, I doubt nothing will happen. We are going to be seeing Licklider era type of attendance numbers for their team next year. Because people, and the worst thing is that they just broke a record for most consecutive seasons with 10 wins, 10 plus conference wins. So he's still doing what no other coach has done.
It's
but
not
it's getting still.
I don't think it's Fran. I don't know what you do to change it, but I don't think you can blame Fran.
But the problem is and I agree. The problem is that the more that they wait, because I don't think anything's going to change when Fran's coaching. I'm sorry, I really don't think anything will change.
I can see that.
The more they wait on letting him go or letting him whatever, the tougher of a rebuild it's going to have to be for that program. Because I feel like the program is going to just continue, not fall as in production wise and wins, but fall in value wise as in players that will want to come play for them. Because I think they'll always be average. I don't think they'll ever fall to the bottom of the Big Ten. But no, I'm just saying, if Drake makes the Sweet 16, Louisville will call, Michigan will call, other teams will call, and the dollar amounts will be there. So this is a year that we'll really know where DeVries sees himself as a coach. And whatever he does, I don't blame him, because I think he could.
Absolutely.
I think quality wise, he can coach at the top of the top.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I think he could have a more successful career than Ben Jacobson. He's already kind of done that, really, with the consistency of making the tournaments. Jacobson has had tournament appearances, but he hasn't had, I guess he had 2 or 3 years in a row with the Tuttle, Jesperson era, Washman, all those guys. But I guess it'll be interesting to see when Tucker's gone, what if he's able to build a program, if he's still at Drake, of course, but what those down years will look like. And if they're still competing for a tournament appearance with Darren, which I think they could, because he's a really, really good coach, he could be developing a mid-major program, not to the extent of Gonzaga, because the fact that Gonzaga is considered a dominant program is still beyond me. But I mean, have you ever seen the movie Air?
Yeah.
Where they're talking about the players that they're gonna sign to Nike deals from the draft, and they're like, where in the heck is Gonzaga? They're referring to John Stockton, who ended up being one of the best point guards of all time, of course. But at the time, no one knew who or where Gonzaga was. So maybe he could develop Drake into being a Wichita State kind of thing. But don't leave the Valley. For the love of God, don't leave the Valley. Learn from the mistakes of everybody not named Creighton. Do not leave the Valley. Creighton is the only one that has benefited from the Valley, leaving the Valley. But the reason is because when they left, they had a stud with them.
Right.
So, yeah, that's but getting back to the tournament bracket thing or whatever. Well, it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited. You know what? As an Iowa State fan, I am a little. Of course, you want the easiest route to the Final Four. However, I am super, super excited, because we have the chance to do something very special in a very, very tough region. At the same time, I will never be on the side of we need to play close to home. I would rather get a better draw, of course. This is a very tough draw. At the same time, if any team, like I said, can do it, this is the Iowa State team that can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Purdue's probably got the easiest route, to be honest. And then that East is tough, like we said when the incident got revealed, man. So we'll have to see what happens, of course. But yeah, we're excited, right? I think you get it once a year, and so it's fun to kind of watch all these teams throughout the year and see what happens at the end, and maybe see something crazy happen. And like you said, man, Iowa State is everything's in front of you, right? You just play one game at a time and see what happens, and just play hard and do the only thing you know how to do, right? And just play hard and play your defense, and hopefully the ball goes in the hoop for you, and just see what happens, right? So that, I mean, Iowa State can easily do it. If Iowa State makes the Final Four, we're not going to be surprised. It would be awesome, but we're not going to be surprised because it's a good team. And
I don't know, dude. UConn is something else.
yeah, I really don't. Auburn's tough, man. But we'll have to see, right? Again, that's part of it. So, you got anything else?
No, I don't think so. I mean, what time is it? It's still a half hour from the women's special.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll do like a 15-20 minute podcast tomorrow. We'll
yeah,
probably just pre-record it and then we'll like release it on Wednesday or something, because the guys on the Hardwood Convos want to, of course, talk about March Madness, so we'll be doing that tomorrow. But yeah, buckle up. The
so
road.
you guys doing something tomorrow?
I think so.
So
we'll get their reactions.
Tune into that, right?
Yeah,
515. What are you doing? Hardwood Convos, but March Madness edition. I mean,
pretty much.
Tune into that. See what, if you want other thoughts other than myself and Brock. I mean, Brock will be on there again, but
I'll just be sitting there, kind of listening to them.
Hear what some of the other guys think.
We'll have our official brackets released before. Should be a good time. Last time that we did that, I think it lasted me 2.5 hours before mine went completely in the trash. But
right. Yeah, so that's all me and Brock got. Like I said, I guess the boys are doing one tomorrow. Tune into that. I'm sure they all have thoughts as well, and interested to hear. I'm sure some of them are completely disagreeing with mine because that's how everybody rolls. So I'll be interested to hear what they think. And, you know, me and Brock gave our thoughts here when we were free. So yeah, that's all I got. We will catch you guys next time. There might be a women's podcast coming out at some point. Also shout out everybody. I was checking our numbers during stream. I think this is probably our biggest stream we've had yet. So
it topped our we did one last week for NFL Free Agency.
Yeah.
Which, good Lord.
Right.
Talk about
crazy. Right.
That's the thing. Like, I feel bad because I would love to do an episode of the Sports Nerds for the people that watch our NFL content. But like with March Madness, the next 2 weeks are probably going to be taken over with that.
Yeah.
But like, we haven't even talked about, we didn't get a chance to talk about Kenny Pickett getting traded, and then Justin Fields getting traded.
Yeah.
By the way, if you ever are in a group chat with me, in a text chain with me, friend with me, and you text about the Bears trading Justin Fields in the middle of the Big 12 championship game, no, automatic block.
Oh, Brock.
I was like, why is my phone blowing up? And I was like, oh, the big trade happened. And I was like, oh, Justin Fields went to the Steelers. Cool. I don't care. I'm busy.
Oh, man.
And they're all Clone fans too. So I was like, what the heck?
Right. Well, yeah. So I guess stay in, make sure to check out the 515 for all of our content coming out. Maybe probably not a lot of NFL coming out, but I mean, I guess if Justin Fields gets traded again, Brock will be the first to break that news.
No.
Okay. So make sure to check our content. Like I said, the 515, the Hardwoods Convo guys are going to do a little March Madness preview of what they think tomorrow. I guess everybody couldn't make it on the night. See what they think tomorrow. Whatever time you're doing that.
Can't wait to hear from local Iowa fan Dawson Livingston to get his thoughts on.
I'd be interested to hear what he thinks. I'm sure people will have their own takes, and we'll just see what happens there. So, tune into that.
When we go live.
Yeah, let me know. Maybe I'll tune in, or send me the link. Maybe I can hop in for a few seconds. Special guest appearance. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So, 515 Sports Podcast, Mac Hills and Brock Beirman. NCAA tournament covered on the men's side. Maybe something will be out on the women's side. Women's going to be an interesting bracket as well. So, we'll have to see when we can maybe do something like that. But
give me Iowa State as the 8th seed in the Iowa City region.
Oh, it'd be awesome. I hope they don't go to USC, man. I want to watch Juju Watkins.
I'd I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather risk the chance of Iowa State getting sent home by Caitlin Clark over anything, because if for some reason they win,
fight on. USC fan max, women's basketball USC fan max. Anyways, that's all we got for
you're
this
just a
episode.
USC fan.
I low-key like USC, man. I like Cali, dude. Maybe I'll move out there.
As you guys can't tell, we're in the Midwest, and a Midwest goodbye takes about 50 minutes.
Right.
As you can tell.
Right. So, anyways, that's all we got. I've been trying to wrap this up for about 10 minutes, and me and Brock keep going on side combos here. So, I think that's officially it. So, like I said, appreciate everybody tuning in. This is our biggest stream yet. We hope to continue to grow this thing and continue to do good stuff, and maybe we'll have some more different type of content, or maybe have some different people on. Let's just see what happens. So, me and Brock, we're always trying to grow this thing. So if anybody's got any ideas, feel free to hit us up and let us know what you think. And
we changed it from the 515 Sports Podcast to the 515 Podcast Network, so it doesn't have to just be sports related.
Yeah, if anybody want to have a podcast, me and Brock are happy to be in charge and help you out. So again, man, that's all we got for this episode. Always open to suggestions. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll try to do more stuff like this and have some on the women's coming out soon. But yeah, the men's side, Iowa State gets a tough draw. Bracket in general is awesome, though. Potential for upsets, potential for non-upsets. Maybe it's chalk. We don't know, but that's what's fun about March.
Arizona to the Final Four.
Arizona to the Final Four, maybe. Who knows? Maybe they'll lose first round. We never know. But Brock might fall victim. Tune in to see if Brock falls victim. Anyways, Max Olsan, Brock Beirman. Peace.